Hello and welcome to this edition of the Open Mic Stage. I am your host, Joshua Toback, and I'm joined by the great, the immensely talented Dakota Farnsworth. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing really good today. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Just built my new booth in my new apartment. Everything's going really well. I've heard that things are
Ooh.
going well for you as well.
Yeah. Well, first off, congrats on the new apartment and the building of the booth.
Thank
That's
you.
very exciting.
Thank you. I
But
appreciate that.
absolutely. But yeah, no, life's been going good. What is it? Yeah, I was telling you a bit before, but I work at a heart lab and outside of voiceover, and our
Mhm.
statistics came in, and we basically we were helping a lot of people right now, and that's a really good thing to hear. So, and that yeah, so I've just been on cloud nine ever since.
That's fantastic. Like kind of doing meaningful work outside of your job, outside of like in your job, and then being able to kind of be creative outside of your job is a great balance, I think. That actually,
Absolutely. And
mhm.
yeah, and what is it? When I was younger, before I even started voiceover, I sort of looked into like the psychology field for a long time. And it was specifically because I was so big on just wanting to give and give, you know?
Mhm.
So, what is it? Yeah, helping people has been a pretty big push for a lot of the things that I do today. So, yeah, no, I'm glad that I get to do it in pretty much every phase of the day I have. So,
I actually think that's a really good way to segue into one of my questions. You are a
ooh,
director
okay.
as well, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So, how does your philosophy of helping people and kind of elevating others and kind of contributing to something bigger than yourself, how do you implement those feelings and those like motivations into your direction?
So what is actually Jace also does is also part of that project too. He's one of the producers that
Mm,
I'm doing the voiceover direction for. So for the people that I recorded with, what I typically do is I sort of get a feel for them as a person. And I help try to sort of create an atmosphere where they can feel relaxed and can feel like they have a good time. And my knowledge in psychology has helped me a lot in that as well, where
mm,
I can essentially, if you know, like let's say if a scene needs a certain feeling, I know how to kind of get them into that emotion, like just in like our current setting, or at least I can kind of help them learn to understand the emotion and sort of feel it through and then go for the scene. And so it's a lot of what's a good way to put it, but I basically use a lot of the skills from psychology to help someone get into a scene, and I sort of like hold their hand as they go through it a little bit, and then I
mm,
sort of let go whenever they're in like the right spot, you know.
mm. So, like almost like teaching someone how to ride a bike in a way.
Kind of, yeah, that's
Hmm.
a great way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I approach it as well. Because when you're directing somebody, they're trusting you. They are putting their entire they're bearing themselves out. They're bearing their entire soul out to you. So you have to kind of create an environment where they can be comfortable. And I think that's really great that you've kind of got that insight into the into the psyche of being a voice actor.
Oh yeah, and it's I think for a lot of people who do voiceover, I came from a theater background, so I'm very used to kind of just getting up, and just being a goofball for 10 minutes and then sitting down, you know. But I know a lot of voice actors have never been on a stage. They've never done on camera work. They've never done anything outside of voiceover. So I try to think about that when I go into a scene, or if I go into doing direction, or if say like someone wants me to help them with like an audition. I sort of kind of I have to kind of like put myself in their shoes, think about their perspective, and that's where psychology helps a bunch, because I know a lot of people have anxiety. I know a lot of people get sort of nervous when people are watching them. So that's where it's also important to make an atmosphere where they can feel like they can be themselves. So I definitely think that I've done a great job with that so far. I don't want to keep going with it.
For sure. I actually wanted to follow up on that. Nate, can you name a specific example you have of like kind of getting someone over that barrier, over that hump? Like, do you have like a specific example you think of like, hey, this person's kind of struggling right now. How do I get them to kind of go to where they need to go and where I want them to go?
Yes. So, well, let's see. It'd be a little bit. I have to think about that for a second.
Hmm.
I would say, if let's go in terms of anxiety. Let's talk
Yes.
about getting someone comfortable, right? There's someone in this room knows what I'm about to talk about, but it's called there's this technique I use called DCD. It was something I learned in psychology. And DCD is doubt, criticize, decide is the acronym. It is to basically take a situation that you're in, say like the actor is uncomfortable and they need to be more excited in a scene, and they're like nervous of like me judging them. So first off, they have to think to themselves, I have to doubt that he's judging me, and then I move them into criticize. Why would I be judging you? You know, I can't, like, I helped you get cast for this role. Like, I think you can totally do it. You know, we're here to have fun. Like, I haven't shown you any reason why we're not here to have fun, you know? So like just kind of throwing facts as to why what I'm doing is in their best interest, right? And then the last acronym is D, which is decide. And that's basically to decide, now that you have this evidence, decide whether or not what you're believing is real or if it's just in your head. And so that was something I used in psychology, and I found works very well with actors when dealing with anxiety.
I love that a lot. Doubt, criticize, decide. I love that because
Hmm
there's a ton of crossover in kind of getting over mental barriers because that's all it is. It's all being a voice actor is just imagining a scenario in your head and bringing it to life because sometimes you don't have visuals to go off of. Like I know a lot of anime dubbing they do obviously, but in video games or like animation or like and a lot of things you don't have visuals to go off of. You just have words that you need to kind of portray. So in improv there's a thing that it's called new choice. Are you familiar, how familiar are you with like improv? And because you've been on stage,
I've
so
been on stage. So I never had professional improv training in any way.
mhm,
But there were times when I did. Um, there were times I did scenes where improv was necessary in order to save a scene. But I wouldn't say that I've ever like been in a setting where I kind of did like more than like a couple of words just to pick
mhm,
something up, or in case like an actor like forgets a line or something.
mhm. That's basically, I mean, new choice is basically that. Like basically like someone say like my car's burning, or and someone would yell new choice and say I'm pregnant, new choice. I love you, new choice. Because you could
Ooh,
try
okay.
different approaches to a read, and ones you
Mhm.
didn't even think of that might not even make complete sense in the context, and the director would be like, "That's the one I want to go with." So really, it's kind of opening your mind up to possibilities you didn't even think of. That's kind of what directing is all about, at least in my opinion.
That's super cool. Yeah, I
Mhm.
like that. Ooh, that sounds like a really fun party game.
It is. It's literally just charades. Like improv is just charades, but with like improv is just I highly recommend any actor of any kind take at least one improv class. I think it really helps with getting out of your own head because there's one rule with improv. You cannot say no. That is the only rule to improv. You can't say no.
Yeah, it's accepting energies, right? Like
Yes.
I remember going into a little bit, never like fully had a class on it though.
Yeah, I mean, that's what new choices are. You're not saying no, you're just trying something different. So that's kind of where the interlap is between stage work and voice work. But I do want to ask you about stage work. How much of that do
Mhm.
you think gives you an advantage when it comes to being a voice actor? Do you feel like that it's necessary to be on stage or to be in front of people, or do you think that it's just like an extra bonus?
I may broaden the question on that too, just because I think any form of extra education that you could have or extra form of experience that you have will always help you and will always be something that will be useful in your toolbox. As
Hmm.
far as theater specifically, I think theater is something that everyone should take once. And I think that that's not even just as an actor or a voice actor. I think that's just as people,
Hmm.
because there's a sense of camaraderie with acting and being able to just get on a stage and play around with a bunch of people and just enjoy the moment and feel like you can be goofy for a minute
Hmm.
and just have a good time, right? I feel like we lose that as we grow up, and I feel like everyone could benefit from, you know, letting loose a little bit and being able to just, you know, sort of, yeah, be themselves.
Hmm.
There was something that, what is it? So one of my mentors, Richard Horvitz, he, um, he talks a lot about that, where,, um, the importance of playing pretend and playing pretend fully. we like imagining ourselves as kids on the playground and imagining that we are letting our inner kid out, because when we let our inner kid out, then our imagination, it's the possibilities are truly endless. So
Mhm.
I think so I think theater is very important, and I don't think it's just in a voice acting sense. I think it definitely gave me a bit of an edge, but it gave me more of an edge in the sense that I'm not afraid to try new things. I
Mm.
don't look at characters and I say, I just can't do that. Like I think about it and I go, well, why not? Like there's always that, like that sense of me going like, well, I could always give it a shot, right? Like you know what I
Because what's
mean?
the worst that can happen? That you don't get the
Exactly,
part? I
right.
mean,
Yeah.
there's literally no point in not trying something. I think that's really important for all creatives. I say this every single session that we've done. We've done 4 of these. I'm going to bring up a term that I've brought up every single time. Have you heard of the phrase the cringe barrier?
I've not, but it sounds kind of funny.
It's
Let's name something like
so
that.
But it's so present everywhere, and I like harping on it every time I have one of these because I want to hear someone's thoughts on it. The cringe barrier is basically listening back to your own recording, going, "Ugh, I don't like that." How long did it take you to kind of get over that feeling of, "Ooh, I don't like that"? When you do you still have that feeling sometimes, or is it just kind of like, "I'm way past that. I am free. I am no longer cringe."
Okay, so that is something I really like teaching newer VAs. So when VAs come up to me, I try to give them as many tips as I can, really.
Mm.
And that's one that I actually heavily encourage. Um, it's this the concept of like I don't know if failure is the right word, but it's the expression of courting failure, of
Mm.
looking back. I tell newer VAs, look back at, well, sorry, when you do an audition, right? Make it as good as you can, and once it's like at your 100% best, send it. But when you send it, I want you to immediately analyze it, and I want you to find 5 things you could have done better. Not saying it's bad. Find 5 things you could have done better, and then
Mm.
take those 5 things and bring it into the next audition, and then do that every single time you do an audition for about a month. If you do it right, the audition at the beginning of the month that you did and the one at the end of the month should be drastically different. They should be
Oh.
a very, as long as you are learning from what you believe you could be doing better and you're actually actively applying those things, I think you will always look back at what you did before and go, ooh, like, oh, that could have been way better. But that's a
Yeah.
good thing because that means you grew. And that's what I love. I love seeing people grow. I love helping people like reach the potential and realize that I could be a better me tomorrow than I am right now. And it's okay to look back and go, I didn't really like that. Because that just shows that you're learning, and it shows that you're
Hmm.
getting better.
I really love that kind of, but I also wanted to ask, a lot of voice actors say when you record auditions to kind of fire and forget, just kind of send the audition and then move on. How do you find
Mhm.
that balance between getting attached to a role or an audition that you did and grabbing your own feedback?
So I'm really big on if there is a so there are definitely been times I got attached to an audition and I looked at a character and I went, wow, like it feels right for me, and then it doesn't happen, right? And but that's fine, right? Like that's part of the game.
Hmm.
And that's something that I think that you sort of get used to as you do voiceover. And there's a very big important aspect to me where I'm very big on, I love the art of it, and I know everyone else does too. But when you truly love the project, you want what's right for the project. And if
Yes.
you're not right for the project, if the director determines that you're just not fit for that character, you have to be willing to say, okay, that's it. The art is going to benefit with these people that they picked, and it's in good hands. Like it's in the hands that they believe are the best. And so I walk away from auditions going, if this person gets if someone else got this character that I love, I trust that the person that they picked brought something to the table that was correct, and what
Hmm.
they truly believed was what they trusted to do it right.
Hmm. And I think that also kind of helps defeat the whole envy thing, because I notice some voice actors feel really upset when one person gets cast over the other, or if they get cast, if they get looked over for an audition. I think looking at it through that lens really helps get rid of the whole envy thing, because you're like, oh, if I really like this project, but I didn't get a part of it, whoever did is going to make it really special. So I think
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
all about the mindset. It's all about the psychology. I mean, it's such a great thing that you have like direct insight into that, because it really is like all in your head all the time.
Absolutely. And that's what's been really great about doing about being in the VO community is because like I have so much experience helping people with anxiety, depression, and what is it, and inferiority complexes and stuff. Like that was my entire shtick before doing all of this. So like when actors come up to me and they say, "Oh, hey, I'm just feeling really like you know, I'm feeling really insecure, or I don't know what I'm doing, or I just feel really lost and nervous." Like I know how to help them with that, like
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what I need to do in order to get them through that little bump in the road, and
Mm-hmm.
also make sure that they feel like they've grown from the experience and that they know how to move forward after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think that that's something that I've loved about being in the voiceover community is that I don't know. It feels like I'm in a space where what I have something to offer that everyone needs, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to touch on something you brought up. We brought up before the recording was kind of anxiety, because you've mentioned anxiety as like a big issue in the voiceover community. Well, not an issue per se, but
Mhm.
I do want to say reaching out to people can be scary. Like cold calling can be scary. I mean,
Absolutely.
I've had experiences where like reaching out to people, I was really nervous. Like I'll give a great example. Uh, I was working with a voice actress on one of the shorts that I made that I like they are so good at what they do. And I was like, oh, there's no way they'll voice in this thing with me. But then I just sent them a message, because what's the worst that could happen? They don't see it. But like they ended up working with me on this, and now I'm gonna hopefully work with them again in the future. Like this is someone that like is basically, my point is, what how do you get over that fear of like what's the worst that could happen? How do you kind of get in that mindset where like I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm gonna just do it anyway.
So that specifically, well, I'll go back to that DCD mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That DCD mindset is a diffusing technique.
Mm.
It's used for anxiety, fear, sadness, anger. It like it is a golden rule of how to just diffuse everything that's going wrong in a situation and just really think about things from an objective point of view. It like of course if something insane is happening, like say like a family member passes, or like obviously there's a very different concept in that, but
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like, so let's say you have social anxiety, you want to talk to this actor and be like, hey, I want to connect with future projects. Well, so you're nervous about it and you think that it could go wrong. So doubt the feeling, right? So doubt it and then criticize. Why would that go bad? Would she judge you? Why would she judge you? You're offering to connect her with a new opportunity. That's entirely what marketing yourself is, and that's entirely what voice actors need to do.
Mm-hmm.
um, Building connections. You're noticing that this person has something of value to bring to the table that you want to turn into a long-term relationship, like a long-term working relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's only really positives that come from that scenario. So once you've criticized that, then decide, now that I have this perspective of what I'm doing is actually quite in their best interest, and I want to and I know that I come from a good place. Decide whether or not you're going to listen to the evidence that you've presented to yourself, or if you're going to let it completely stop you. Most people would choose the evidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely say going that direction when trying to connect with people or just with anything that you're struggling with mentally, or anything you're anxious about. I feel like that's always a good way to do
Mm-hmm.
it.
And I think honestly, it's just about how you go about it. Like you mentioned, basically making sure that everything's okay with that person before you reach out to them, kind of reading the room, getting signs, making sure they're open. If they say their DMs are open, make sure you reach out, especially if you're like already friends on Discord or already friends on Twitter. Um, it's just kind of reading context clues. I think a lot of people don't realize that if you have all the signs, just go for it. And I think that some people just have open doors and some don't. I've reached out to voice actors and I haven't heard back from them, but I mean, like, I did it. I feel better about doing that if I feel better than doing it than if I didn't. Does that make sense? Like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's kind of like.
Absolutely.
Mhm,
Yeah. I think that's super important because you will never get you won't get anywhere in life if you don't take risks.
mhm,
Like it's the fundamental of going towards success is taking risks. Yeah.
mhm.
So I think you're definitely right. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Thank you, Michael Scott, for that quote.
Yes. It's a very true quote. It's a very
Yeah.
true quote.
So I wanted to actually turn things back around to you because I feel like we've talked a lot about the voiceover community at large, but we haven't really talked about like what makes you you. So let's start with what made you want to get into voice acting if you've been focusing on like other aspects. Like what made you want to get into voiceover specifically?
So originally before this, so I was a psychology student, and then I actually went into photography for
Oh.
about 2 years. And so I did professional photography for a little bit, and I would take pictures of like family photos, and I would take uh, what is it, senior photos for people, and it just like it was a lot of like odd jobs and stuff. And so went to college for that, but I had a high school history in theater, and it's something that had always sort of inspired me, but I just never thought was an avenue that was reliable, I guess. Like I didn't really think about voice acting. Like it just wasn't something that there was this sort of idea that I felt that, oh, you have to be this big shot actor to even get into voice acting. I didn't even know how accessible this was, right?
Mm.
So what is it? So when I was in high school, I had this friend named Audrey. And we're still good friends today, but she what is it, her aunt and uncle both did voiceover. And she said, "Oh, hey, I've been to every show that you've done in high school. I think you're awesome. I think you would do really well in this setting. I think that you should give it a shot." And I said, "Well, yeah, sure." So Audrey ended up hooking me up with an extra role in a video game, which it ended up kind of flopping, didn't work out. But in the time that I was there, it was really, really fun. I got to meet a lot of cool people. Um, did not regret the experience for 1 second. And I sort of was like, you know what? I would love to get into this, but I really want to take some time and learn it because I know the acting world can be a little confusing. I know there's a lot of places where, at least in like the film setting, there's a lot of scams. At
Mhm.
least I was taught that in college. Like there's just a lot of like shady sides of it where you don't want to accidentally get into something that isn't real, like fake agencies and stuff. So I
Mhm.
spent an entire year learning voiceover before I even considered myself a voice actor. Like I did as many classes as I could. I read as many books as I could. Um, what is it? I did a couple of odd jobs. Did like really small like machinima stuff. And I just kind of let myself get involved in smaller settings, but I prioritize the educational aspects of voiceover. By what was it? Gravy for the Brain was a good course for that. I learned from what is it? I learned from one of Tony Oliver's classes, Yuri Lowenthal and Tara Platt's book, Voiceover Voice Actor. Um, some of them are escaping right now. I want to be a voice actor.com by D. Bradley Baker. I just sort of like soaked myself in as much knowledge as I possibly could.
Mhm.
Um, and so by the time that I got started and I actually considered myself a voice actor, or at least I was trying to get into that field, actually, Della, you're here. Della and I share a coach. She reached out to me one day. I had never met her, and her name's Keiko, and Keiko
Mhm.
pretty much said, "Hey, I saw you doing like a couple of auditions here and there. I think your voice is a very and she said it was a very Johnny Young Bosch meets Bryce Pappenbrook style voice." And I was like, "Oh, that is one hell of a compliment. Thank you."
I hear it. I hear it
And
for
so
sure.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, and she was like, what is it? She was like, "Yeah, no, I'm trying to teach people ADR. I'm doing a dub of Clannad, the first episode of Clannad, to teach people ADR. Would love to have you as Tomoya and to teach you how it works." And I was like, Absolutely. So I ended up learning ADR from her. We had a great time, and then when I finished the project with her, she pretty much went, "Hey, listen, Dakota, I gotta be real. You need a demo." And I was like, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah, yeah, you're
Wow.
like really, really good at this." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I would love to do that. That sounds great." So Keiko basically got together. I got together with her a couple of times. We made a demo. And then after the demo was over, we had such a great time. Demo turned out fantastic. There were a couple people I had met who were in SAG-AFTRA who I showed the demo to them, and they thought I made it in a professional studio. But no, I made it
Wow.
in my closet. Like, it was not in any way a professional demo, but Keiko was just gold at making them, and just had such good direction and such good it was just such a great leader in that process. And so when we were done with it, Keiko was like, "Hey, listen, I would love to be your coach. Like, you're really good. I'd love to show you the ropes. It's clear that, it's clear you are still kind of learning how things work, but I think you have a really great grasp of acting, and I want to help you." And I said, "Okay, cool." And so that's how Keiko became my coach.
Wow.
And then I would say, and I said from that day on, that is when I became a voice actor. Was that specific day when I
Wow.
accepted that offer. So that was November 2021. So I actually just recently finished my second year in voiceover, and I'm on my
Congratulations.
third right now. Thank you.
I mean, for
Um,
only being a voice, I mean, I feel like you've been a voice actor longer. It's just kind of like you deciding your starting point. I think is totally valid. But the fact that you've accomplished so much in 2 years, 2.5 years, is insane. And I just want to say congratulations for that. Like that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a lot of grind, but it was, I'm very happy where I'm at too, and I
Mhm.
got to meet a lot of really cool people. A lot of them, well, pretty much all of them, in the audience right now.
Yeah. I was about to say, yeah, there's definitely some familiar faces in here. I want to bring up actually the community aspect of voiceover. Don't isn't it incredible how like tight knit the community is, but also so open? Like how you can naturally make all these connections and all these friends. More importantly, isn't that just great?
Absolutely. I felt this. So what is it? So one of the projects I'm in is Project Eden's Garden.
Hmm.
And it was really incredible when we went to. So we ended up getting a convention booth at San Antonio, and it was our first time ever meeting each other in real life. We had seen each other on Discord, and so a lot of us went to that convention being like, "Oh, this is gonna." We're kind of nervous. Like, what if like this gets a little awkward? Like, we hope we all like each other. Da da da. But as soon as we got there, we all clicked. It's like we always knew each other. Like, it's like
Hmm.
we've all seen each other on a daily basis for like 10 plus years. Like, and I felt that there, and I felt that with many, many, many of my projects. Cruxicon in here, same thing with Sly Cooper, Rise of the Legendary Thief.
Hmm.
We all got in a call. We got in our first meeting call, and we still have inside jokes from that day that we like anytime where we all meet up with each other. It's we say a happy birthday to everybody, even though it's nobody's birthday. And it's just a little inside joke we all have. But it's like these settings where you just sort of jump in and then you just fit, you know.
Hmm.
And if you allow yourself to jump, just take a chance and meet some people, like like you're gonna have a great time. Like I love that about this community is, yeah,
Hmm.
everyone's super friendly, everyone's super open, everyone's nice, like is cordial to each other. Um, and yeah, it's yeah, very, very inviting.
Hmm. I just love it. It's just why I started the server. Just kind of give people a chance to meet people and kind of get their feet on the ground and really just kind of say I am a voice actor. If anyone is in the server and like it says I am a voice actor, I want them to really like feel it and believe it and be assured that
Yeah,
they are a voice actor. That's what every community needs, I think, in this community. You know what I mean?
I think that's really important.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I think at least when I started voiceover, I'm sure everyone has had this experience of, you tell your friends and your family about it, but they're kind of looking at you, with like a little bit with side, like their heads turned sideways a bit, right? They're like, oh, is that is that really what you do? But like having a community of people who like build you up and push you and say, yes, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this.
Mhm.
Like I think there's a support network there that everyone really needs. And yeah, I'm really happy that everyone's willing to provide it. Like if you go into any VA discussion chat in any server with voice actors, like, and you say, hey, I need help with this, like 50 people are going to jump in and start helping you if they're available. Like it's like
Mhm.
it's really, really great. And I think uh and going to that point with like the parents looking like with tilted heads, like I had a very similar experience where I got into voiceover and no one in my immediate life thought it was serious. Everyone thought it was like, oh, it's just like a phase. It's a thing that's not going to work out. Da, 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 da.
Mhm.
But the more I pushed and the more I kept getting pushed by people around me, it just turned me into I think, a better actor and a better person. Like it just made me a much more, I mean, I was already a friendly individual, but I would say I'm much more friendly now than I was before.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm much more willing to play around and willing to and just enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And so I think that having that support network is really important.
I think the environment molds the actor in any medium. I think that's not true just for voice acting, but it's also true for just like stage acting. I think the environment molds the actor. Where you are, who you hang out with, the people you talk to. I think people need to reflect on that and really make sure that they know that, hey, if you need help and if you want to be guided, there are tons of people who are willing to do that. That's the beautiful thing about the voiceover community. The VAC as well, voice acting club is really great as well. I think there's so
Hmm.
many free resources online for people to kind of like find find their group. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. The resources are just ever expanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I love the willingness that everyone has to help.
It's the best. So I want to ask one more thing before we kind of open up the floor for our Q&A. If you could tell yourself from the past one thing about voiceover, if you could go back 5 years and say that you're going to be a voice actor, but this is what you need to do, what would it be?
Mm, I would say, ooh, that's a great question. I think I think I would probably tell myself that the only person who knows your limitations and that knows how far you can get is yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
you will get as far as you let yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably what I would tell myself.
You are your own best friend and your own worst enemy. I think that's a great piece
Absolutely.
of advice. Someone,
Yeah.
Waveform said save money, and I think that's a great point as well.
Save
But
money. Yeah, so
save
that's
money.
that's definitely important too.
I think that's really, really important because honestly, as great as voiceover classes are, some of them can be pretty expensive. So you want to because you're investing in yourself. That's the important thing I want to harp on. You are investing in
Hmm.
yourself. So make sure that you believe in yourself and that you invest in yourself. Because
Absolutely.
let me tell you,
Yeah.
these voiceover booths also do some research. Make sure you research what you're buying and make sure you know that you're buying the right microphone, you're buying the right equipment, you're buying the right booth, you are going to the right classes. Vet everything. I think that's that would be what I would say to myself 5 years ago or 10 years ago because
I would
I've been doing this
definitely
for a while.
I
Vet
agree with you on
everything.
vet everything. Yeah.
Vet everyone and vet
Yeah, I,
everything.
I agree. I heavily agree with you on that.
You never know. All right. Well, that is it for our interview section. Thank you so much for answering our questions. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Fantastic questions. Thank you.
Of course. So now I open it up to the floor. If you guys would like to ask any questions or have anything you'd like to say, feel free to raise your hand and I will grab you from the audience like a claw game, and we will go from there.
Who is the first victim? Come
Don't be
here.
shy. We
Come
don't
hither.
bite. All right, we got our first one. Let's invite Della up on the stage. Oop,
Oh my gosh, Della,
let me
who
grab you.
nice to meet you for the first time ever in our lives.
I've sent the invite.
Oh, oh, there
There
you
we
go. Hey.
go.
Yeah. Can you guys all?
Hell. Oh,
Oh, okay.
hello.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. I'm actually hearing this all from my phone. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
new
first,
just here.
Yeah, I think I've heard of open mic studios.
Yeah.
I think I was on your side of it, if I'm
Right?
not mistaken.
Oh, the tables have turned.
Oh, the tables have turned.
Right? Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you, Dakota. I tried. I actually have two questions, if that's cool. Oh,
Yeah, sure.
awesome. Okay, so my first question is, I know you guys mentioned improv. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if like when you were in like video games or animation projects, do they allow for any improv where like they actually keep some of the lines you say, almost like a lead in into like the projects you're in?
That's kind of a case by case basis, I would say. It depends on the director you're working for, and it depends on the project. Like for a good example, and I'm gonna use Eden's Garden as an example again,
Hmm.
where a lot of us had very tight knit lines because the characters needed to be a specific way. But there's a specific character named Cassidy
Hmm.
who was very wild and crazy and said lines in very unique ways. So a lot of the times for that character's line, the actress would just start experimenting with like 20 different ways to say one line in like a very like instead of saying like what's up everyone, they go what's up everyone, or like, you know, just like doing like crazy, you know, just kind of like
Yeah.
stretching it as much as they could. So I like for that character they did a lot of improv, but for the rest of us they did not.
Mm.
um unless we were really really passionate about something, like typically it was very very by the book. But there have been projects I've been in, like couple animation projects where I you know, I said a joke or two, and then the director goes, "Oh, that's a great idea. Let's do that." And then they ended up putting that
It's
into the
added in.
script. Yeah, exactly. So it's a case by case basis for sure.
Yeah, so it kind of just depends on who you
Mhm.
work for. Like some allow for some improv, but some are kind of like, just stick to the script,
I actually
Yeah,
want, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I want to touch up
gotcha.
on that. I think that at some auditions, like I said, a lot of them say just stick to the script, do this because
Mhm.
do this as written. But if
Right.
they don't say that, and if they ask for 2 to 3 takes, especially if they ask for three, I
Mm.
say for save the improv and save extra additions you want to do for that third take because you never know. Because if you listen to all 3 takes and then the third one sounds completely different, they're like, "Oh, I didn't even think about that," and that'll get you some bonus points. So,
Right.
That's a
You get that ooh
Yeah,
ah
that's a good
moment.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did one for Kai Montiago actually. I ended up doing a full improv line, and I only try to do that, like I'll do it when it's like I feel like it's necessary.
Hmm.
For Kai Montiago, I really wanted them to know I got the character. Like I really wanted to know them to know I understood him. And
Hmm.
that's where the improv line came in, where it was like an extra idea of, hey, I'm not like I like what is it? On top of these lines, I also just know what I know how this character is thinking. And
Right.
so that I definitely think that that helped me a lot with the audition, but I definitely wouldn't say it's for every project. I would say that it's definitely for the I would do it on the ones where they're cool with you doing something off script. Multiple
Right.
takes like Josh was saying, but
Hmm.
also if you really think you know the character, if you really think you do.
Yeah. And you've definitely embodied his character or for Kai's character for sure. And
We're
that's
the
awesome.
same person, it seems.
Yeah, you guys are the same. Nice. And then my last question is, were there any characters that you voiced that you find to be vocally stressful, like especially if it's not within your range, but you just decided, I'll go for it and
I would say the last time I did that was actually in was in theater, so I don't think it's gonna be much of a voiceover help on that one. My big thing is that I take what is it, taking care of my voice very, very seriously. If it hurts, if it starts to hurt, I stop. Like if it's something that is bothering me in an audition setting, then I don't want to bring that into a project because
right.
if I'm unsure if the hydration too, Kevin just said that. That's a great point. Um, what is it? Staying hydrated, making sure it doesn't hurt, um, making sure that you can do it consistently and believably. I'm really big on standards. One of the people that I look up to for inspiration on standards and mindsets, ironically, is Gordon Ramsay. um, and the reason is because if you're not if you Gordon Ramsay's big thing is that don't bring food up to the hot plate if you're not 100% sure it's your best. If it's not 100% like it's you can do it consistently, you can do it that way every single time. It meets a quality, it meets a standard that they want, right? Like, and I feel the same exact way for voiceover. If in an audition a voice is hurting me, if in an audition it's not believable, if in an audition it's just not, I'm just not being true to what I bring to the table, I don't send it.
Right. Right. Especially if you can't sustain that voice for like say 4 hours for a video game, then that would
Yeah.
For sure. Yes,
Wouldn't be good.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very important. You have to be able to, because some of those recording sessions are long. Like, yeah. What is it? And of course, when it is starting to hurt your voice, tell them. Like, tell the director that it's hurting your voice, because the last thing they want to do is be responsible for your instrument getting damaged.
Yeah, exactly. So never be afraid to open up and just say, "Hey, this is hurting me. Let's try
Exactly.
something else."
Also, Mikai Roll is saying sorry. We had a screaming session for a project not too long ago, and it was about 2.5 hours, if I'm not mistaken. It was a pretty long session. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no. Which 3 hours? Yeah, it's, and personally, like, I think I test this a lot to my theater work. Like, I can go a very long time screaming, and it just doesn't do anything to my throat. But definitely, like,
that superpower.
it definitely at times it does feel like a superpower. But it is a thing of, at the same time though, as much as I know I can push myself to that limit, I still try to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that's a smart choice.
Listen, I know my limits. I don't know if I could do 3 hours of screaming yet. Good lord, that sounds intense. Like, there are some auditions.
It's kind of fun though.
There's a difference between being too afraid to audition for something and knowing your limits. Like, I'll give you a good example. There is a certain podcast that was holding auditions recently, and they were like, "Yeah, you need to scream for like 3 hours to do this." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know if this is for me." Because it's just like, it's not like I can't. It's not like I don't want to. It's just that, like, like you said, you gotta take care of your instrument, and I haven't really like been trained to take care of that instrument as well as like I'd like. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
It's really just kind of knowing your limits and being okay with like saying, "Hey, I need to do more training before I take on something like this."
Right.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a level of you need to be conscious of what you're capable of, and you have to be pretty honest with yourself too, because it is something that can affect you long term.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you got to safely surpass your limits. I just came up with that. Safely.
That's a good quote. Please write please write that down. 100%.
All right. Well,
thank you guys.
Thank you,
but I gotta get going. I actually have a party to go to. But yeah, I'm so glad I was able to make it.
Hey, thank you so much for supporting. I really appreciate it, Della.
Of course, Dakota. Love you.
Love you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Any other takers? Do we have any other pressing
looks
questions
like
we'd like to ask?
It looks like Wave said not to. Wave, have a wonderful day.
Bye,
Thank you
Wave.
so much
Thank
for
you coming
stopping by.
Kevin has a question. Let's bring him on.
Yeah. Kev! Yay!
I have yanked Kevin.
Testing 1 2 3. Can you hear me?
What's up, Kev?
Hello.
What up?
What up?
So, I have a question for you, of course, Dakota. So, I'll preface this by, of course, saying that, the VA industry and just the world of it has changed quite a bit, like from 20 years ago. I mean, even 10 years ago. So, my question for, I guess, well, actually just everyone here is, how do y'all see the VA world changing in, like, say, 5 or 10 years' time? And also, Dakota, where do you want to be in 10 years' time?
Ooh.
Oh, boy. Oh, that's a loaded question. All right, let's see here. Wait, what did you say, Kev?
Oh, no, just, it's all right.
Oh, gotcha. I would say where I see the VA industry in 5 years, I think right now we're kind of going through a setting of there's a lot of newer people showing up, and there's a lot of people getting involved. Like, this is like post-COVID era, I would say. What is it? One of my friends, Jonathan Bullock, calls it what is it? I think he said the third. We're Generation 3. So Generation 1 is like Tom Kenny and uh, Johnny Young Bosch, Bryce Pappenbrook, all them.
Yeah.
Gen 2 is like Marissa Lenti and Brandon Winkler and Jonah Scott, and then we're Generation 3. So I think that Generation 3 is going to be kind of starting to get involved more into projects, more into direction settings, more into a lot of people are going to take a lot more leadership positions in the next 5 years, and then there's going to be a Generation 4 that we will be able to sort of light the way with. And so I think all of us should be ready for that moment, and everyone should think about what we want to become and how we want to be perceived and what kind of image we want to be giving off in that time. So I think this is sort of the development process of that.
Would you say social media presence as well is absolutely necessary then for VA going forward too?
I think so. Definitely. I think any way that you can sort of spread awareness of however how the community is. I mean, we've been doing a great job with that so far with all the online resources we're talking about, all the Discord servers where people are super open and friendly to helping out, and the casting call club starting to get a lot better with auditions, and Twitter is a good hub also where a lot of voice actors get on there, and Instagram, and I think the hub is going to get a lot stronger before it gets weaker.
And I want to touch on that really quick. I think extending the bridge towards the next generation is what every good voice actor should do. I mean, that's why you see so many influential and talented voice actors and actresses holding classes and creating their own Discord servers and streaming all the time and answering questions, because there shouldn't be a feeling of these people are here to take my jobs. It should be a feeling of these people are here to work alongside me and create something special. And I think that's really cool that we're seeing that kind of torch being passed. I mean, look at how many voice actors these days started on Tumblr doing Ask blogs or comic dubs. Look how many of them started out doing fan dubs or full on abridged work, and now are full-time voice actors. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think that's I like that perspective for sure. Yeah.
And about the whole AI stuff, because I saw people in chat talking about that, I think that it's gonna get worse before it gets better. I think that if we I saw a casting call, I saw a post from a developer today talking about, I want to get voices for this, but I don't know how, so I used AI. So I reached out as open mic saying, hey, we have a whole community of voice actors who'd love to help you. I think that's the approach we have to have. The way that we discuss AI and the way we discuss the future of voice acting has to be in a warm and kind way. I understand it's scary, and I understand there's a lot going on, but I feel like with every tech fad, I think there's going to be a limit that it's going to hit, and we need to be kind, and people need to look at us and say, these are talented people that we want to work with, not angry people that are afraid of their job security. I think that's just the way that I see it personally. It's more of like how we approach it.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. I think the way to get people to stop using AI is not to tell them, oh, you're like taking our jobs, da 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 da. Because meeting with that hostility, no one's gonna want to take your side on that. You know what I mean? Like it's I think there's a lot of people, and like we were saying, was this person didn't know where to look for voice actors. Like understanding the why they're doing it that way, I think is a lot better in terms of going, oh, hey, well, now that now we know why you did it this way. Now let's find you the right answer, and let's find you some people who are willing to work for you. And also, I ended up working with I keep using this as an example, but I'm gonna use Sly Cooper and Eden's Garden again, where we have so much fun together as a cast and as a crew of people, like all the audio engineers and songwriters and writers and animators and stuff. Like there's a sense of I'm gonna say camaraderie again, that you get from projects with real life people that you won't get from AI projects. like you don't like the potential to have a ton of fun with a ton of people and meet people and network and just like to express yourself in an environment of like-minded individuals. You won't get that with AI. I think that's also an important thing with AI, with the whole AI argument.
And also there are regulations hopefully being passed by SAG-AFTRA soon.
Yes, I agree with you.
I think that at the end of the day, as long as we're still here and still working and not giving up, I don't think we'll ever lose. There's more of us than
I think
robots.
that's true. I think that's very true. There's it doesn't hold as like hearing a robot did it. I don't know. It's like sci-fi wise, I guess it's cool, but like on a larger aspect, it's not. It starts to kind of lose the impressive aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, something was done automatically for you. Like,
makes you sound lazy.
Sorry, but woohoo! Like,
yeah,
it's not really impressive. Like, it's impressive in the moment, but then you realize, oh well, now that's just this thing that we've made automated. Okay, well, we're kind of robbing it of the point.
I see this all the time actually, because I'm a content creator, so I see all comments all the time. It's like, there are people who like they see a video that has it was an AI voice behind it, and they don't like it. Just people do care about say like the the person behind the voice and everything too. So we'll be able to adapt, no problem, honestly.
I mean, you see a lot on TikTok of like AI generated voices doing song covers, which sometimes do well. But one of the funniest TikTok pages is just this guy doing like Dragon Ball Z impressions with a really compressed microphone. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the whole TikTok scene of like memes and posts, but
no, can't. No, not really.
Okay.
Not much.
But my point basically being, people will gravitate towards something if it's human generated, if it's like really good and really like funny. So I feel like as long as the passion is there, people will notice. And I think as far as like companies go, that there's tons of research saying that the more human someone sounds, the more likely someone's going to buy the product. If you've worked on commercials, you know that that's very much the case. So I don't think we'll be seeing AI voice commercials anytime soon. I could be wrong, but as long as people keep auditioning and keep do not let them train you. Do not do the voice training. I will say that right now. Voices.com, be careful of, because they are promoting that very heavily. I will say that flat out.
Oh, I did not know that. I will keep that in mind. Thank you.
I can share stuff about that. Yeah, there's like, I'll share stuff about that and maybe resources. But my point being, be smart. Be smart and don't be paranoid. Be smart, not paranoid. That's the way I would look at it.
Yeah, I agree.
Dakota, where do you want to be in 10 years?
In 10 years. Oh, no worries. It was that was a great conversation. That was fantastic conversation.
That was the other part of the answer.
Don't apologize. It was fantastic. We had a great time. What is it? In 10 years. So I was saying this at the beginning of the interview. I take a lot of pride in helping people. Personally, I want to be in a position where that's actually one of the reasons why I've tried moving so fast in such a small period of time, right? So like this, I'm on my third year now, and like I want to be in a position where I have the network and ability to help people who are let me try to word this a little bit better. So when I was younger, right? Very I came from not the most wealthy family in the world. We're actually kind of poor. I would eat like $1 spaghetti and macaroni and cheese on like a daily basis, right? Like it was wasn't a great time. And I was also the youngest in my family. So in like school settings, in family settings, it didn't really leave me a lot of room to really be taken seriously, I guess. Like, and that's not to say that they're bad people. It's just, like you being the youngest, people are going to assume, oh, you just, you're not as experienced, right? So like I sort of had to kind of work to be taken seriously. And that was something that took me a very, very, very long time. And voiceover, I would say, was the first thing that I did where I really went at this as strongly as possible I started to get that voice for myself. I'd get my voice for myself, huh? But I voiceover was the first time that I felt like I earned I earned the right to have an opinion, basically, or to be able to be someone that I wanted to be, or I did something for myself and it worked out, and I had something to show for it, right? And so I want to be someone that finds people who are in similar positions and can help sort of like build them up too. And that's sort of, and I guess going into teaching is probably something that I'd want to do in coaching, um, both in like life coaching and voiceover coaching, or whatever it may be. I think the answer is yeah. In 10 years, I want to be in a position where I have enough knowledge to where I can find people who were in similar positions that I was when I was younger, or new positions that I don't have any experience in, where they feel very small, they feel very unseen, and I want to give them a shot.
Right on. Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. Yeah.
Can I just say ditto to all that of what I want to do in 10 years? Can I just say, like, I just want to do that? Because in 10 years, I hope to be a full-on casting director full-time. Like, hopefully up there with, like, Mike McFarland and Tony Oliver and all them. That's where I would like to be in 10 years. Just, like, being a true voice director and casting director and working as someone who kind of works directly with clients to kind of say, this is how we can bring this project to life, and these are the people that should do it. That's where I want to be in 10 years. Like,
Yeah.
That's just my simple answer. That's just, also I just want to be happy. I'm happy now, but I just want happiness and health. That's all I can ask for. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So those were essentially my questions. Thanks for having me on and answering them. And yeah, I'll return to the audience then.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Thanks for the support, Kev. I appreciate it.
Of course, anytime. So yeah, thank you.
All right, we have time for one more question. One more question.
Also, hi, Vix. I'm sorry I didn't say hi earlier.
Hello. Wait a minute. I think I've seen that name before. I think we just got cast in something together, actually.
Oh, are you in Neon Ignition too?
No. You know what's funny? No, not Neon Ignition. Another project with Until Dawn Creeps, I think. I'm pretty sure we're both in that.
Wait,
But
what?
yeah, an origami video, I believe.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yes, I knew it. I knew I recognized you from somewhere. Hello. Yeah. So, we have time for one final question. Just one question, because I don't want to take up too much of your time.
I mean, I'm chill. I got nothing to do for another hour.
Valid.
But it's up to you.
Let me see.
Uh,
Don't be shy now. We don't bite. Ooh.
let's see.
Okay, that's so real. But I know enough about this guy.
It's up to you if you have one. Feel free.
Yeah. But yeah, and if you missed the interview, it will be up today. Gotta make sure it looks nice and clean. Got the thumbnail already for it, thanks to the incredible Maggie, who is I think in here, but I'm not sure. But yeah. All right. With that being said, do you have any closing comments? Anything you'd like to if you wanted people to take away one thing from this interview, what would it be?
I would say, if you want to get anywhere in your life with anything, be willing to learn as much about it as possible. Be willing to critique yourself and look at the things that you make, in a perspective where, you try to find where you can always do better. Be willing to look at the things you're proud of and sort of, what is it? Be willing to look at things you're proud of making and think about how you could have done it better, even if you think it's already the best you can do. Because there is literally no way you could stop growing if you always approach with that mindset.
Very well said. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to answer all these questions and talk about your experiences. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, and we will be back. I'm gonna try and do these bi-weekly again, but thank you so much for coming by, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their weekend.
Yeah, catch you later. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for showing up. This was really great. I appreciate it a lot.
All right, see you next time.